surviving alcohol-related liver disease. I'm going to read out a list of my medical report from July 2020. I can post the details if you want for authenticity, but I'll go through the list now. Diagnosis: ARLD, which is alcohol-related liver disease, cirrhosis. Abstinence since October 2019. That's when I first went to hospital. Previous spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. Recurrent ascites, that's the fluid buildup. TIPS, TIP, inserted May 2020 to reduce the pressure gradient from 19 down to 8 to 10 millimeter stent. Previous tonic chronic seizure secondary to hyponatremia. Repair of para-umbilical hernia in June 2020. Now, there's a list of very, very serious things there. If you want me to go through them again, drop me a line. Or if you can email me, then I'll send you a full report of my diagnosis. At the time I got to hospital in 2019, I had less than 50-50 chance of survival. Now, we're into January 2025. I've got good blood function, liver function, good blood results. I'm fit, I'm back at the gym, I'm travelling. As far as I'm aware, pretty fit. I get a check every 6 months, ultra scan, which I'm going for one on the 7th of February. And my consultant's been the same consultant throughout at the Freeman Hospital in Newcastle, which is a special, it's a transplant unit actually, and liver and gastro hospital, basically, that's where it is. And she said to me last June, when I went in for my 6-monthly check, if somebody told me in 2019 when I went in, when you came in as a patient on a blue light, that you get to this level of health, and I wouldn't have, you'd believe myself, that's what you said, I wouldn't have, I was just surprised basically that I got back to this, you know. She didn't even think it was possible. So there you go, how you do it. This is the thing, how do you do it? What you got to do is realise you've only got one life. In alcohol, if you keep battering your body, will eventually give up. Doesn't matter what you drink. I drank lagers and beers, no spirits or wines. I was talking to a neighbour the other day who's got a bit of not an issue with drinks, she just drinks too much. And said, oh, is it not safer to drink lager and beer? I said, no, it's happened to me. I got very ill through lager and beer. It doesn't have to be wines and spirits, all that sort of thing, because people think they're more potent. All alcohol's got ethanol in it. So basically, I was a steady drinker most of my life, and when I retired, I drank more and more. And I know a lot of people are in this position. They get bored, they get a bit, well, into a rut basically, and they can't get out of the rut. You've got to try and get out of the rut before you end up in hospital like I did. There's not many people who will survive what I had at that time. So how do you do it? When you go to hospital, I went to hospital, I was completely deconditioned. I was about 9 stone, I lost a muscle mass. I hadn't eaten very well for a long time. I was living in Scholar, my flat was unheated, no hot water. I had rats in there. I was getting out a couple of times a week just by forcing myself into a taxi or getting some help to get to the pub just to be out of this trap that I was in. And I got worse and worse, just got more ill. And one of the guys I used to drink with said, you need to see a doctor and put that off. You put things off when you're drinking, you know. You think it's going to be a better day next day. And I got into this cycle of basically 24 hours, just having 24 hours a day just drinking. I would have a can of beer next to my bed. And I got really, really ill, to the point where people thought I'd passed away, to be honest. So a few friends, and my parents ran a lot. I basically say I was still alive. My daughter came up now and again. That my relationship with her suffered, as it would do. Because when you're drinking, you become very selfish, and you know, you hide away, you become isolated, very, very anxious, afraid to answer the door. Not that many people called, mind. Afraid to answer any post. I couldn't deal with anything really. I felt very sensitive to any noises, any bright lights, all this sort of thing. My health had just deteriorated at such a level where I was barely functioning. I thought I was going to die of alcohol. I wasn't consuming that much at that time. I think everything had just packed up within my system. Now I got to this stage 5 years ago by basically just being a social drinker with normal beers and lagers, but it became a habit, you see. And a habit, if you keep pushing it, will become an addiction, because alcohol is so widely acceptable, isn't it, and so socially acceptable. It's normal for you to go out, have a few drinks. You know, 1 or 2 beers won't hurt you. 1 or 2 beers will be fine. 1 or 2 will turn into 10, 20 if you're like me. And like a lot of people, you get addicted to it. So to survive it, the shock of being in the hospital, the shock of told I had all these things wrong with me. In 2019, I'm thinking, what are they going to do? What can I do? They said I was too deconditioned for liver transplant. That wasn't really talked about, to be honest. It was just one of the things I went through. They go through a list of things that can be done. And then this fluid was building up my stomach, this ascites fluid, which is basically where the liver is damaged and you can't process protein properly, and you get this fluid. I had that with this spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, which is a really serious infection. Managed to sort out with very, very strong antibiotics. That was at the Central Hospital in Newcastle. Moved to another hospital, had all these options, but bear in mind, by 2020, COVID sort of hit, so it was very difficult for the hospital staff to really give you much attention, to be honest with you. But they did, you know, work miracles on me. I also had this massive hernia, and what I did was just did exactly what the doctor said. I mean, I had to do what I was told in hospital. But after that, when I got discharged for a couple of weeks here and there, they said be very, very careful of anything with salt in it. Try and eat what you can. It's fresh, basically, fruit and veg, all that sort of thing. I couldn't exercise or anything like that for the first year or two. I was in a wheelchair most of the time. I had to stop with my parents. That was stressful for them and obviously for me. I couldn't look after myself. It was a total nightmare. So I just took on board everything that this consultant told me about the salt, about the diet, and then eventually I started to do a little bit of exercise and focus on myself a bit more. But it was very difficult. I was very weak. I was still going to hospital every 3 weeks to have this stuff drained off, which is horrendous. Because you're backwards forwards to hospital, you feel like you're in hospital all the time. And then I had this hernia which bled. I had to be stitched up, and that was very, very close to passing away. I was in Cirrhosis then. Another frightening experience. I'd been in Cirrhosis when I used to work as a police officer in London, but not as a patient, obviously. That was a total terrifying experience. And I just stuck to everything this doctor said. She's my hero, really. She saved my life. I'll not mention her, but I'm going to see her on the 7th. I'm quite looking forward to going to see her. Every time I see her, she says, oh, you're looking better. Which is great for me, because I think, you know, I've actually survived this and I'm moving on. And so now you're repaired, basically, to a good level. You should have a normal lifespan, but don't touch the drink, basically. Now, I studied last time I saw her. I said, how come I've got this level of health? And he said, because you've done everything we've told you to do. Listen to these people. Now, I didn't have any help initially when I tried to get off. I didn't get any medication in 2019, which I wanted, prior to 2019, actually. I waited too long to push the medical side. Once I was in there, I got well looked after. If you follow the doctor's orders to the letter, don't deviate from that. You can't survive. And you've got to be strong up here. You've got to do it for the ones you love, for yourself, and you've got to really be focused. Now, I can't have a drink again. If I know now that if I have a drink, I'll be dead. It's as simple as that. There's only 2 ways you can go. You can go left or right. And, you know, it's an easy choice, really. But I know it's difficult when you're an addict. And I often, even after those little tweaks I've had in the liver, I've been in hospital for ages and a couple of operations, I still thought, when was like to have another one? I'd done that 100 times, been off the drink, on the drink. When was like to have one, especially in the summer, on holidays, any time really, because drink was part of my life, it was a big part of my life. And when I retired, it was all my life, to be honest with you. So if you're going down this road, anywhere near what I've said, you know, get some help and really push it and get onto these channels and speak to people. There's a lot of people that have experience on here. I've got an ebook as well, the link's in the description, which will help you. There's lots of things can be done, but the main one is to focus on not drinking again. You can't drink again. And that's why people relapse. That's why people have liver transplants. Imagine going through all that trauma. A 12-hour operation with huge risks, medication for the rest of your life, and you go to the pub. We all know stars and of stage and screen who've done that. But I know people who locally have done that, and not lasted very long. So survival, a lot of it's in the mind, to be fair. Because once you've got the help and you are sober, there's no reason to go back drinking, is there? It's not easy to come off it, and withdrawal can be horrific. But when you pass that stage and you're in the sober, on the sober phase, then you've got to stick to it. And every day will get better, you know. Every day you'll improve in some way. Your sleep will be better, your food will be better, your relationships will be better, your emotional stability will be better, your mind will be clearer. The whole lot. There are no benefits to alcohol at all. So I'm going to do a few of these because you can't just condense 5 years of survival into 10, 12 minutes. You know, it's a long process. It's a slow, you've got to be patient as well. Another thing to remember is when you go to the doctors, as I would class a social drinker, and do these well-man clinics, which I did for years, none of the bloods showed that I had a liver problem. Very odd, isn't it? So if you've got some sort of fatty liver disease or fibrosis, before it gets to cirrhosis level even, your bloods may come up normal. It's only until you have a scan, an ultrasound scan, it's a bit like a pregnancy scan really. When you have an ultrasound scan, that'll show any damage to your liver. There's all sorts of things that go wrong with the liver. It's not just alcohol-related liver disease that kills people. Heart attacks are a massive part of the death statistics. Strokes as well. Pancreatitis, that's a massive one as well. Once you get cancer of the pancreas, you're finished. Kidney issues, accidents. Another thing which I'm looking into at the moment is suicides. Well, suicides are drink related. Because alcohol is really depressing, isn't it? You get a high for a little while, then you're back down to zero and beyond. So you've got to be very careful with alcohol. It's a very dangerous drug. And as I said, and lots of people have said this, if it was brought out today into society, it would be banned immediately. Be careful. If you benefit from the channel, then please subscribe. If you want to see any evidence of what I've been through, let me know. You can email me on Stevenalcoholfreelifestyle@gmail.com, which is all this is on the site. I'll get back to you, I'll answer every email, and I'll answer every comment that I can get to. So have a good day, stay safe, I'll speak to you all soon.